Welcome back to CAP STRAT Wealth Update here. Let's jump into it as we take a look at the agenda here. Quick update on the private wealth side, and then we're going to talk about our main topic, which is teaching your children about money. It's Financial Literacy Month, so we thought this would be a great continuation from last month where we focused on supporting your adult children. You know, the objective here is just to highlight some of the best practices that we see, but then also to try to create more awareness and better outcomes for your children so they can become financially independent when they're older as well. So just a quick private wealth update here. It's tax season wrapping up. Hopefully, if you're filing on time, that's completed right now and any payments or refunds are on their way. But also thinking about the next step there. We'll be sending out a reminder next month just in regards to uploading your most recent tax return. So let's jump into our main topic, really focusing on educating your children. And again, this is important, not just a continuation from last month, but also just thinking about setting yourself or your children up for success longer term. So let's jump into those best practices. What do you see as number one in your view?
So when we think about creating the next generation of financially independent adults, we really want to create education and talk more about some of the basic principles that are so important. So looking at spending, saving, borrowing, protecting, investing, earning, those are all principles that if we can teach and implement from an early age, that can just create better outcomes for our adult children down the road. Certainly as we think about money as a topic within households, 60% of Americans don't actually talk about money within their homes. And thinking about setting an example for your children is something we'll touch on more today.
Think about some of those best practices then. What do you see as number one?
Researchers say that children as young as 3 can understand basic concepts regarding money. When you think about the tangible value of money, things can be exchanged and have value. So certainly that's a young age, but just even in my own home and my children, I see their cognitive abilities at a very young age. It really reinforces the importance. But definitely by age 5, you want to start introducing some of these basic concepts. But 3 is not a bad place to start either.
Right. Well, starting early and it's never too late to start.
Right. It's never too late.
Right.
There's so many opportunities for play. Play is such an important part of development, but bringing money into that, I think of the store that we have in our home and using that just to model purchasing groceries. Certainly you can do that in real life within a grocery store, but that's just one example of helping the child understand the cash, coins, receiving something in exchange. So I think you can make learning about money fun through play.
The next thing I think about is just that conversation. And that 60% of families do not even talk about money. It could be very taboo in households and not even kind of be hush-hush around it. Obviously, every family has different views on that, but we think it's important to at least be having that dialogue and conversation to make it less taboo in that case. And some of the things that we have seen just encouraging have the conversations around your personal planning, like vacations, and what has to be done to really potentially save for those vacations and earn up to that opportunity to go on these trips versus it must be a given.
Right.
That discipline of budgeting, having those conversations early on that it's important to understand what you have coming in versus, what you have going out. Those are all concepts that, maybe not at 5, but when they start to get, even your children get 10, 11, 12 years old, they really start to understand.
Another point is just thinking about how your values tie to money, needs versus wants, and really helping the child understand the guardrails on what really is truly a need and what's a want. For any parent that's taken a child into the store, I want. But certainly using just to teach them about shelter, food, clothing, those basic needs, and then explain how that budgeting works alongside those needs. And then anything extra is really a want.
I think about what you just said too, almost like needs versus want, but also in the world where the way it's evolved to is immediate gratification, right?
Right, right.
And I recall still going through these stores and, the checkout, call it the gauntlet, right? Where everything's at the child's eye level, where it allows them to just see all the candy or treats or toys. It's kind of part of that exact conversation is, the needs versus wants, and making sure that they start to understand that, because the world is set up to create this awareness for opportunities of immediate gratification, and having those discussions up front we think are important. But beware the gauntlet.
Even thinking about modeling responsible behaviors, introducing the value of work and how you earn. Certainly, you've seen children outside during the summer months with lemonade stands. I walked a dog growing up to earn some money, but anything that your child can do around the home to really earn $1, earn $10, whatever it may be, so they understand the value of work and can carry that forward throughout their lifetime, because that can translate broadly as they get a job in high school or potentially babysit or even a full-time career post-college.
Yeah, awesome. That kind of ties to the last topic, which is allowance.
Right? Yes.
Which is something that I would say it's viewed differently in a lot of different families. And I think the kind of tying that back to what you're just saying and the intention of work or earning something in return is one component of that. But then also it starts to bring in that money management component, which kind of rolls up to some of the other topics that we were talking about before, even specific to the trade-offs of immediate gratification, budgeting, having enough to purchase. So we are definitely advocates in favor of, having some sort of an allowance built into your family money management structure to really give that child some independence, but understand the trade-offs of purchases and ultimately making them aware of what that's worth.
Right. The allowance really allows you to introduce the concept of spending, saving, and potentially even goal setting from there.
And giving.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important to kind of think about holistically of the kind of the ability or the options of what you can do with the monies that you have to make sure you are save, spend, and also maybe you share. So how can we help? These are questions that we get regularly from clients, and certainly we can help build a program or check in on a regular basis to understand how it's going based on some of the best practices that you've identified. But we're also willing to talk to your children, especially as they get older, into their first jobs, to really reinstill what you've worked on over the years, but bring that into more of an independent view for best practice on savings, spending, budgeting, and even taking a look at their 401k plans, et cetera. So all things that are a part of our wealth advisory services, and certainly welcome those conversations. And obviously, if you have children, we'll be bringing this up in our annual review process to see if there's any questions or any best practices that we can help out with. So that concludes our conversation here today. Thank you for joining us, and reach out to anyone here at CAP STRAT on the Private Wealth team if you have any questions, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.